The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking about the Mel Gibson directed movie, Hacksaw Ridge. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we're talking about Hacksaw Ridge, one of the coolest war movies I've seen in a while. And I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
I'm here, man. I'm repping.
You're repping Grouchy John's?
Nice
and
new
our hat.
Shout out to JJ over there at Grouchy John's.
Yeah, I think, he got me this shirt for free.
For free?
He just
Dude,
bought
he
it for me.
JJ's the best. He bought me
is
coffee
really cool.
yesterday.
He comps us for every time. Every time he sees us in the shop, comps.
Yep. I'm going to do a real quick plug. If you guys are in Las Vegas, Grouchy John's coffee shop, go out of your way, check it out, take a cab over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's our,
like
you might see one of us.
Bermuda and Warm Springs.
Mhm.
No, it's Maryland and Windmill.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Maryland and Windmill, Grouchy John's Coffee. They treat us well. They're like our family. It's our hangout. It's our home away from the studio.
Yep.
Go check it out. And we love those guys over there. So,
Yeah.
Grouchy
Right
John's Coffee.
We're
Grouchy Nation.
pretty much there having a staff meeting every Monday.
Yep.
And
Everybody.
Hewlett was like, "You guys have staff meetings?"
And we're like, of
Well,
course we do.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you think this is? Some kind of podcast?
Some kind of fly-by-night operation.
I think David just thinks that we just show up and talk about shit and don't even
No.
plan anything out.
No,
We work.
Yeah.
We work.
Kadish works.
We planned to be
We
this witty.
listen.
We listen.
Kadish works. We listen. We go, yes, Kadish. A great overlord and master.
Except when I ask you to Google something.
And then we're like,
tell you to
no,
go,
fuck
yeah,
off.
Yeah, phone's right in front of you. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Judah's also here. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Actually, there's a movie this week that you watched that I'm dying to hear your thoughts on. We'll get to it. It's not this one.
No,
but
it is not.
It's later on in a minute. Kadish is also here, the master of puppets. Sure, fuck it. Yeah, the master of puppets.
Master of nipples.
I was going to say, it was better than you calling me a nipple. Which
That was
our
our Patreon content.
Yeah, our Star Trek introduction. Alex never knows how to introduce me.
I don't.
It's funny because I think I've seen this movie twice. The first time when it came out upon this rewatch, and it's a damn good movie.
It's a damn good movie.
I have to admit that this movie gives me the feels. And so it's one of those movies where it's okay as a man to feel something when you're watching.
I cried. Anybody else cry?
You know what's
No.
funny is that I watched it with him and I had no idea he was having feels.
That's just Kadish.
stoic Kadish
Yeah.
just looking at a screen.
Yeah.
So the theme for this week, guys, if you're brand new to this podcast, we do a theme every single week. We pick a genre, and then we do 3 movies within that genre. This week's genre is Mel Gibson directed movies. So if Mel Gibson was behind the camera, we're watching it this week. And our choices are, this week is Hacksaw Ridge, Apocalypto, and Braveheart. So we're super excited for this week. It's going to be a great week.
No one cares about the man without a face.
Well, we only do 3 movies.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
Well, he's only directed 4 movies.
Well, also, I have to say that the Jesus movie was off the board because Vader's a heathen. And he was like, I'm not doing the fucking Jesus movie.
I concur. I don't want to do a Jesus movie.
I forgot about Passion of the Christ. So he's directed 5 movies.
I've watched that movie.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were like
Dude, I'm not like anti-Jesus. I'm anti-religion.
You're anti-Jesus, man.
Fucking most religions are a bunch of hypocritical bullshit, but we're not going to go
Absolutely
there.
right. You're absolutely right. 100%.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
I love Jesus.
I'm just not gonna watch that movie
Yeah.
though.
I really like that one movie. What was it?
What's the one with Willem Dafoe as? Was he Jesus in that
Oh,
movie?
the Passion of the Christ.
No.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
Jim
Mel
Caviezel.
Gibson movie. That's Jim.
Caviezel.
Yeah.
Oh, The Last Temptation of Christ.
That's the.
No,
yeah,
I'm
that's the
talking
one.
about the Jesus zombie movie. What was that? one?
There's a Jesus.
I forget the
movie.
name of it. Yeah.
Jesus was in Orgasmo. He gave us a thumbs up at the end.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Did.
Yeah.
And there was that Kevin Smith Jesus movie that was really good.
Dogma.
Dogma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to review that one someday.
We should do Dogma, Red State, and a bunch.
We should just do Jesus movies. Let's have a Jesus. Let's do a
This
Jesus
week
movie.
on SMP, we're talking Jesus.
Yeah, we could do Jesus Scissorhands.
Oh no!
Oh my God, Jesus Scissorhands, yes.
You guys want to watch a bunch of drunk assholes talking about Jesus week? There it is. We gotta put that shit. Fucking Jesus movies.
So take the wheel. So take the wheel, nerds, because we're talking Jesus.
There is an actual movie where it's Jesus versus dinosaurs, I think.
Oh, God.
Or zombies, one of
yes,
those two.
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna be
That's-
struck by lightning.
I'm sending this one to my mom. my super religious mom. Jesus week at the Salty Nerd Podcast. Holy fuck, dude.
R2 says replace Wade with Jesus.
It'd be funny is if we just reviewed movies that starred a character named Jesus.
Danny Trejo. Jesus.
We could do fucking
Machete.
Machete.
Bullets of Justice.
Oh my god.
We could do
off the rails.
Lebowski. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
That's right. Big Lebowski.
We should figure out how to do Lebowski.
Oh my god. Yes, we do.
man.
Well, we need to do.
Vagina.
We've never done Big Lebowski?
We've never done Big Lebowski.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Somebody
Suck
write
your dick for $1,000.
Somebody write that down.
Well,
He's gonna pay $100 if he wants to watch.
The bum's lost, sir.
The bum's lost. All right, guys. Hacksaw Ridge. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to have another drink because we're irresponsible, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to get into Hacksaw Ridge.
Praise Jesus.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you guys want to support what we do here, go to saltynerd.com/DC and download a game called Dragon Champions. It's a really fun game that supports our podcast. It's a fun hero collecting game where you get to upgrade your characters and go on raids and go on campaigns and have a lot of fun on your mobile app, whatever you use, your phone or tablet or whatever. And we really love this game. Vader plays it like a freaking madman. Kadish is masterclass level 80. So if you guys play it, type in Salty in the promo code, and it gives you a little bit of a leg up, gives you some boosts and a new character and stuff like that. It helps you along your way. If you reach level 20, join our guild, Salty Nerd Podcast Guild. It's ran by one of our Patreons, JT, and those guys go on crazy guilds all the time. I tried to join one of them, but I got spanked. So I have to build my characters up a little bit before I get back into it. But it's a great app. Those guys support the heck out of our podcast. We want to return the favor. So don't forget to type in that promo code. It gets you credit and gives you a leg up. All right. Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes.
Jude, take it away.
All right, sir. 2016 Hacksaw Ridge, rated R with a runtime of 2 hours, 19 minutes. This had a budget of $40 million.
That's it? Good for it.
Guess what it made? Bucks.
120.
All right.
What was the
Vader?
budget?
40.
I'm going to be honest here right now, real quick.
No.
I thought when you said we were watching Hacksaw Ridge, I thought we were talking about a Clint Eastwood movie. The one where they invade Grenada.
So did you watch the wrong movie?
Oh, no. But wasn't that like the same?
Letters from...
No.
Something like that.
The one where he trains Mario Peebles in boot camp and they go and invade Grenada. Somebody in the chat knows what it is.
It's called Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge. That's the one. That's right. I got you that mixed up. And I almost went and watched Heartbreak Ridge, but I figured it out that there was the Spider-Man movie with the kid with the Spider-Man stuff in it. Andrew Garfield. And I had never heard of this movie before.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Weird, right? That I never heard of this.
I didn't remember having seen it before.
And I don't remember it ever being in the theaters, so therefore I don't think it made a lot of money.
Okay.
So I'm going to say budget 40, it maybe broke even because I do not remember this coming out.
Okay.
So
I'm
just going to say that.
What's the box
million.
office, Jude?
All right. This had a box office of $180 million.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel Gibson has never directed a flop.
Yeah, well,
That's good for him. He's very selective.
He's a good director.
That also gave away the box office for the other two movies we're going to review this week.
Yeah, so aim high.
Got to go high. Yeah.
All right, Jude.
Swing away.
Give us the synopsis.
All right. Hugo Weaving hasn't cared about anything but the bottle since his friends were killed in World War I. When his two sons, who pretty much raised themselves, enlist in the military to serve in World War II, and having been driven insane by the previous World War, he washes his hands clean of his boys. Desmond enlisted to become a medic and save lives. And being the naive boy that he is, he believes the recruiting officer when he tells Desmond he won't have to carry a weapon. Suddenly, Desmond's the asshole, a coward, and about to get court-martialed when finally his piece of shit father pulls a Hail Mary and somehow gets him an exemption from carrying. Still, his whole company thinks he's a useless coward until they get orders to take Hacksaw Ridge, and without firing a single shot, Desmond rescues 75 men from death and earns the Medal of Honor. Spoilers. Discuss.
This is a first watch for me.
Me too.
You've never seen this?
Really?
Mm-mm.
Wow. I thought because you picked it that this was like something that you'd seen.
That's why I picked it, because I've never had a chance to watch it.
I thought it was a first watch, and then when I started watching it, I was like, oh no, I've seen this. And Gators was like, yeah, you saw it with me.
Yeah, we were together in 2016.
Is that when it came out? Was 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have such a blank about this movie coming out.
2016 was a weird year. If you remember, shit kind of just hit the fan
Was,
in
was,
2016.
was that a Star Wars year?
That
And
was
Marvel
the year,
It was
year?
The Last
That was
Jedi.
the year a
Oh,
certain
God,
orange
no
man
wonder.
got elected.
That movie just consumed our lives.
Yeah, The Last Jedi, and also a president got elected that like just completely rifted the
Oh,
entire
yeah,
world.
yeah.
Last
that's
Jedi
right.
was 2018, wasn't it?
Did it come out after?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
it was
maybe I'm
2018.
wrong.
don't
Okay,
know.
I'm sorry. My bad.
I don't know, but there must have been a lot of stuff going on because this was a first watch for me too.
Okay.
And I'm not a huge Andrew Garfield fan, but
Oh.
you know, he pulled this off, and I appreciated his performance even more after I saw the dude at the end of the movie
Oh,
who
yeah.
they
Yeah.
based the character on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm always a little hesitant about
True stories.
true stories because I don't know how much
Is garnished.
is bullshit
Yeah.
and how much is real. But you know, I think I enjoyed this movie, man.
So-
It was good.
So one of the reasons that you may not have known about this movie is because at the time Mel Gibson was in the process of being canceled.
That's right. He was.
And so like when this movie came out, there was
Sugar
a big
tits.
there was a big anti Mel Gibson sentiment in Hollywood, and it got buried.
Yeah.
I mean, this should have been an Oscar nom,
hmm
but it wasn't.
You know, and he's got the Sarge.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
It's
Dude,
so
I love Vince Vaughn.
I
good.
like when I was watching this movie and Vince Vaughn showed up as the freaking drill sergeant. I was like, I'm like, is this going to be a comedy? Like,
right.
I felt like he was
No.
so out of place, but he pulled it
But-
off.
I feel like it was to him when he was doing this role, though.
Yeah.
I feel like
Go ahead.
you know, like Mel Gibson was in the middle of his meltdown
Mhm.
bullshit. Well, Vince Vaughn kind of got he's a Hollywood conservative too.
Yes, yes.
So I kind of feel like this 2016 was about the same time that all this culture war bullshit
Mhm.
kind of started coming to the forefront, right? And I can kind of understand now why I might not have heard of this movie because I'm sure people were doing their best to stamp
Squash it, yeah.
you know, because it's a great movie. It really is.
It really
and
is.
Vince Vaughn is, you know, he's a Hollywood conservative, and I'm sure there's probably more people in this movie that are too. You know, because that's how Mel Gibson rolls. Mel Gibson don't give a fuck
Mhm.
about being canceled and stuff.
Well, what
So-
was even more surprising is like this is actually a very heavily faith-based movie.
Mhm.
Like you know, Mel Gibson's you know an out Christian,
Yeah.
and you know he made Passion of the Christ and stuff like that. But with this film, like it's such a great kind of like I think spiritual message
Mhm.
set against the background of like pure hell, which is war. So like the theme of this movie is very kind of like in line with like the type of like faith-based material that
Right.
Mel Gibson likes to produce, and also it's one of the reasons why Hollywood hates him. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, usually I'm not into the faith-based movie stuff. Like it's usually a little bit over the top and kind of goofy,
Mhm.
and I have like this natural repulsion to that kind of stuff.
I really like that Noah movie with the rock creatures.
that was bullshit.
That was that was an awesome movie.
Total bullshit.
Darren Aronofsky, right?
Nothing about that fucking happened.
It's like Russell Crowe as Noah.
Ridiculous.
Oh
movie.
God, it's like, oh my God, there's Korg. Korg's building the ark.
It's like, hey guys, I built this arc, but I
Hey, you
didn't
know
print
what?
enough pamphlets, and you know, it's just not gonna make it work. Like, I usually don't enjoy these types of movies, but for whatever reason, like, I genuinely have good feelings when I watch this movie because I do agree with Andrew Garfield's character in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Like, I think
You identify with him?
I do, I really do, because I don't mean to get political or anything, but I genuinely do not think that the freaking suits behind the desk
Yep.
at the Pentagon have the right to send young men out to war because they want more shit for themselves. You know, like it's just, I have a repulsion to that. Like there's times where fighting it works, and there's times where fighting is just a political move, and I don't agree with it. And his I can't say that. word.
Conscientious objector.
Thank you. His stance for that in this movie works so well for me. Because I'm like, yeah, like, look, I'm not a coward. I don't want to not help people. I don't want to not help my country, but I don't also want to just go and murder hundreds of people because you told me to.
I do. I totally understand the way he was brought up. You know, his dad was an asshole.
Right.
Mhm.
And there was a scene where, you know, he almost killed his dad
Mm-hmm.
with a gun. It messed with his head.
Yeah.
And, you know, you combine that with his
Faith.
faith, you know, and
he also almost killed his brother with a brick.
Yeah, that was a real deep start of the movie. But you can't, they took the time to build up his character and the reason why he thinks the way he thinks. And you can't really finish this movie and not respect that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he found a way in real life to do his duty and still serve his country, and he ended up getting the Medal of Honor for it. And that's an incredible story.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm skipping till the end, but like when they interview the real Desmond Doss, and he's talking about the scene that the whole movie is building up to is the scene on Hacksaw Ridge when he's saving all of these men. He was saving people he was saving the enemy.
Yeah,
also.
they said they got a couple of Japanese people too.
Anyone who was injured, he wanted to save lives. And the real Desmond Doss was just saying, like, I just kept praying after each person, please God, let me get one more. And then he'd save one more. And then he'd say, please God, let me get one more.
Yeah.
And he'd save one more. And it was really heartfelt, and it really gave you the feels.
And those scenes at the end of the film, they're actually from a documentary that was made on him called The Conscientious Objector. So like if anybody wants the real story, like they can check that out. But one of the interesting things about, you know, I think Mel Gibson tried very hard to put in as much real life stuff into this movie as possible. But the interesting thing about the Hacksaw Ridge part of this movie is that to hear Desmond Doss speak, he's like, I think maybe I saved 50 people, but the people who he saved, you know, they've come out and they're like, oh, he saved like way more than that. He saved like hundreds. And throughout the course of his tour, his entire tour in World War II, he's credited with saving over 300 lives. Wow. So not just on Hacksaw Ridge, which some people say he saved like close to 100 people. So in the movie, when they say 75, they're kind of averaging out. Like he said 50, they say 100. So it's like somewhere in the middle there. But he actually saved like over the course of like, you know, his tour, military career, like over like 300 people.
Yeah. For a movie that is like supposed to be preachy, I appreciate the way this does it.
Oh, this was done very well.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was being preached at once during this entire movie. It was highly entertaining. Yeah. And I appreciated the story, and I appreciated it even more when you realize that it's real. This happened. It's hard to believe that it did happen, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like there's no fucking way this is real. And then when they start going into
the documentary
stuff at the end, you're like, wow.
Well,
I mean, this is like.
Well, what's funny about this movie is, so first of all, like it took 14 years to get this to the screen. And the way this went about happening is that the pastor of Desmond Doss Church, who knew about the story, pitched it to a screenwriter that he met. And then like from there, like it went through like the Hollywood rounds and stuff like that. And so like it was basically through this guy's church that this movie eventually got made, but it took a long time to get there. And one of the interesting things about this is that, so this is an independently financed film, like most of Mel Gibson's films, because nobody wants to like give Mel Gibson money. Like he goes out and he like raises funds independently. And this entire movie was shot in Australia. And the entire battle scene was shot on like a dairy farm or something. But one of the interesting aspects of this is like they originally decided to shoot it in Australia for like tax breaks. And when they were getting ready to shoot, the Australian government took away all those tax breaks. It was like some like legislative thing. And so Mel Gibson had to basically shift gears and make sure that his entire crew and most of his, like 90% of his cast, was Australian based in order to get Australian subsidies. And it was because of his work on the Mad Max movies and him growing up in Australia that he was able to convince the Australian government to look at this as an Australian production and give them enough tax credits to make this movie for $30 million.
Nice.
So like we actually owe this movie to the Mad Max people. So
of course we do.
That's perfect.
That's great. I love it.
I love it.
All right, let's get into some specific scenes. I'm just going to start off. It's in more of the beginning of the scene where they're in the boot camp with the character named Hollywood. One of the funnier scenes is when...
You mean Private Parts?
Yeah, Private Parts. Private Parts. One of the funnier scenes is when the drill sergeant, Vince Vaughn, comes in and he tells everybody to get to work. You know, they're lining all up. And he does this. Hollywood, Private Parts, doesn't have any clothes on. And he's a fit dude. Like, he's a good-looking dude.
He's just doing pull-ups naked
he's
like
just
a fucking
working out all the
he
time.
knew what was coming to him.
He's got the porn stash and everything. And he has to stand there in formation, completely naked. And then when he's like, all right, let's go out. We're going to do PE. You know, we're going to go out there. We're going to do some runs. We're going to do some, you know, whatever bullshit army shit. And this dude is like, he's trying to get his pants on. And Vince Vaughn's like, what are you doing? Did I tell you to get dressed? No. I told you to get to work. So this poor dude had to do all of those drills, even crawling through the mud underneath the barbed wire, completely naked for the entire day.
Can you imagine doing burpees naked?
Oh,
slapping it on the ground.
Oh man, I would love it.
You know what else was funny about like this initial bunker scene is so when we interviewed Adam Baldwin, he was talking about how he used to like to play mumbly peg.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in here where like two soldiers are playing mumbly peg by throwing like knives between their feet.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, that's that thing that
where they were throwing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and basically
Adam Baldwin was talking about.
Yeah, and when Vince Vaughn comes in and they have to line up, the guy gets distracted and accidentally like flings like the knife in the guy's foot.
Yeah,
and so he's just standing at attention with a knife in his foot.
We want to play?
I'll play with you.
Okay, let's go.
All right, cool. Let me go.
We're gonna video that shit.
Let me go get my steel toe boots on.
Is that gonna be our next skit?
Yeah, our next skit.
That sounds like something I do when I was a kid. We did a lot of dumb stuff.
I used to throw knives at things, but not my feet.
Yeah. It's like I related to this guy a little bit when they were kids, growing up in the very rural on a farm, small little town.
Yeah,
that's how I grew up. We lived on a ranch that had a mountain with cliffs on it around the edge.
Just like that. When they were like, get down, you damn kids, you're gonna die.
We would climb up to the top of the mountain and like roll down the cliff like idiots. Like, I don't know how we lived growing up. You know, yeah. It's like, you know, and I was this kid who's like my dad. You know, very rural. You know, it's like when I was like 8, my birthday present was a 22 rifle.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good for you.
I never left the house without my single shot chipmunk 22 rifle and my expandable fishing pole. I never left home without that stuff.
On the other side of that, I went to high school with a girl who got shot with a 22 in her eye. It's still fucking there.
It's just like I just can relate to these kids. You know, beating the shit out of me and my brother. We fought and wrestled and fucked each other up all the time.
Yeah.
It's just how we grew up. You know, and this is like my dad's like, yeah, rub some dirt on it, you'll be okay.
Block him with your left, Desmond.
Oh my god, yeah, that scene where the two boys are fighting and the guy's like commentating on it, like, oh yeah, block him with his left and sucker punch him. I'm like, yeah, all right.
And my grandpa, and my uncle, we lived on a ranch with my grandparents and my uncle and his family and us. And that's just how we grew up. Well, you know, it was just
it was funny because that scene with Hugo Weaving where he's watching the two kids fight and the mom's like, why don't you break it up? And he's like, well, this way one of them gets a whooping and then I get to whoop the winner and I don't have to whoop both of them.
Yeah.
It's like toughens them up.
Completely reasonable.
Them into men.
Listen, man, I got 3 boys. Shit happens more often than you think.
You're going to have a fucking battle royale.
Oh, yeah.
In your living room.
I already
do already.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, I grew up with 2 brothers and we fought constantly.
Yeah.
My poor mother.
My wife is like, what's going on? I can't get them to stop fighting. I'm like, you're never going to.
Here's the thing,
I grew up with only a sister, no brothers, and fights were a little bit different in my house.
Here's the thing, though. Your brothers are all going to fight. But if somebody comes in from the outside and fucks with one of you, that dude's done.
Yeah.
From the other brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's just the way it is.
It's just how it is.
It's just how it is.
It's human nature.
I get it.
Okay, so there's another thing I wanted to talk about with this movie. Shit, I can't remember what it was.
So while you think of that, basically the Vince Vaughn character, who's Sergeant Howell, originally Mel Gibson was going to play that role, and but he wanted to focus more on the directing, and so he backed out. And Vince Vaughn was like one of the only like non-Australian actors to be cast in this movie, and he stole the show. Like when he came in and he started like doing his Arlie Ermy thing and just like dressing down everyone. Like Jude was like, oh, I was kind of into this movie, but now I'm totally into this movie.
I mean, I texted all of you and I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then it stopped being funny for a while.
I was like, I didn't know if I was going to like Vince Vaughn in the role when I first saw him. Because, you know, I'm used to, you know, Arlie Ermy.
Comedic Vince Vaughn, right?
Yeah. You know, Vince Vaughn he's a comedian actor.
Wedding Crashers.
And he wasn't not funny in this. You know, I mean, he was
the only thing that brought the comedy to this movie. He's the only thing that lightened this movie up.
It was so appropriate, though.
Yes.
Right.
Because he's the shit-talking drill sergeant.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't like how, like, movies that are being made today, especially, like, Joss Whedon movies, like, not to shit talk, but, because, you know, I love Joss Whedon. But like they'll put in like the comedic relief, like, oh, he's gonna say something funny here, and it doesn't even fucking make sense, and it's really annoying, and it kind of takes you out. This was appropriate, and it was so well done, and it meshed in the movie.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty good. Let's be real here, though. The training part in boot camp, it's not Platoon. Okay,
no,
it's nowhere near Platoon level good.
No, it's not comedy.
It's Platoon's not comedy either.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about.
I mean, honestly, I think the boot camp part of this movie is probably the weakest part.
Well, this movie is a slow burn.
It is a slow burn, and and I'm not going to give my score yet, but it's not a 5-star. Okay, but I feel, but they were able to really get into his conscientious objection stuff, and they explained that, and they kind of went through how and why and the trials he had to go through.
And it was also great to see like Hugo Weaving as the dad step up.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to bring that up. That's what I was going to bring up. So before we get into like the actual meat of this movie, which is the battle scenes and his heroic saving of all these people, the one thing that really kind of like transitioned from boot camp to war was that moment in the court martial where like they were trying to take him down. Like, you're not going to have a weapon. You're not going to be in this army. Everybody was against this guy.
We can't trust you.
Can't trust you. Yeah. You're a coward, this and that. Like, everybody was hammering, even his wife to a certain extent, which she is a beautiful, wonderful woman, and she was very supportive. But there was a moment there where she was like, just give up and get out of here.
Like, you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life.
Like, you don't belong here.
Just pick it up and pretend.
Yeah.
And he was like, you don't understand what I stand for.
Literally everybody was against him.
I have so much respect for that generation. That was my grandparents' generation. I absolutely love that World War II generation. It was such a weird, the stories my grandparents would tell about how things were back then. The whole country was at war. Everybody contributed to the war effort in some way or another. If you weren't fighting like in Europe or in the Pacific, you were
building tanks,
building planes and tanks. You were growing crops.
Desmond even tells a story in this about like the kids who couldn't sign up because they just weren't physically able, committed suicide.
My grandfather,
they were so ashamed.
My grandfather was disqualified from the service, and it always, I think, kind of bugged him a little bit. He never would really talk about it a whole lot, but you always got the sense that he was happy to provide and contribute what he could. That's something that our current generations, I feel like, are missing. There's a lack of respect for our country and for.
Well, there's a reason why this is called the greatest generation.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. And I don't want to go into a really deep place, but it's just that there was something different about this era of the world.
There was no Twitter back then.
No, there's no Twitter. There's no meltdowns over pronouns and stuff like that.
And I have a huge respect for that generation, and
I do as well.
I wish more people were like that. You know what I'm saying? So
there's Hugo's character. Like, he is an abusive husband. He's an abusive father. He's kind of an asshole. He's a drunk. All this stuff. Like, there's a lot of negative about his character, but there's a few scenes in this movie where he's talking to his son about like why he doesn't want them to go to war. He's like, I don't want to see you go through the same thing that I like saw my buddies go through. And there was even a scene where he described, like, his son was like, I joined up, I had to, and he's like, oh well, I hope your suit looks good after your intestines are on the outside of it. And shit, like he goes off. He gets reasonably upset about the whole situation. I completely understood where he's coming from. So like, even though he's this really dark, kind of antagonistic character throughout the movie, you can kind of know where he's coming from a lot of the time. And he's got PTSD. He's got major issues that back then they didn't know how to deal with. Right. And there's the scene where he, in my opinion, redeems himself in a large way, is when he goes to his son's defense at the court martial. And he suits up in his World War I outfit. He walks in there and he gets the general's permission. Says, I want my son to be safe and to be able to serve and to do it the way he wants to do it. And he gets that paper and he brings it to the court martial. That was a great scene.
It was a great scene.
I loved it. It was amazing. It wasn't an action-packed scene. It was very dramatic. And I know we're not like, this is a podcast that we don't really talk about drama movies, but this is a great scene. And I really appreciated that even though this character was by and large a very negative aspect of this movie, they still kind of gave him a pedestal to stand on and say, hey, he still has some good in him.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because this follows the structure of a lot of different war movies where the first half of the movie is before the war and it's showing the training and showing the characters and the camaraderie and the backstories and stuff like that. And then you get into the war part of the movie, which is the later half. And that's when all the action happens and that's when all the drama happens and all that other stuff. This was a very well written, very well structured movie. And the fact that it's based on a true story is just mind boggling because it's very inspirational actually.
All right, guys, before we talk about the big battle, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to have a sip of my Contini and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support us, consider going to saltingnerdstore.com and grabbing some merch. We have a lot of great t-shirts there available. My favorite is the podcast official logo t-shirt. If you guys do decide to grab one, don't forget to type in salty in the checkout counter so you can get 10% off and take a picture of it once you get it, wear it, send us a picture on Twitter or on Instagram or somewhere. We'll share it as a thank you to you guys. We really do appreciate it. We try to get as much income in different avenues as possible to help support us and help to support the podcast. So if you want to help us out and wear some merch, head over to saltingnerdstore.com. All right. So the big part of this movie, the best part of this movie, arguably, the big war scene. This is just like 45 minutes of brutality. Incredible. Crazy, incredible. And also, there's a couple scenes that I want to talk to you guys about because it was like oddly dark and comedic. So
comedic?
A little bit comedic. I don't just explain why.
I don't remember anything comedic about the last hour of this movie.
Well, is it the one with Vince Vaughn again?
It's Vince Vaughn has one of the moments, but there's another moment where the big dude, the antagonist to Andrew Garfield's character, who's like talking shit to him during boot camp,
his lieutenant or captain or whatever.
Yeah, and he realizes that he's actually a pretty courageous, amazing person, and once they're in the shit. But there's a scene where I was taken aback. I did not expect them to do this, but he's down there. He's getting bullets flying over his head, and there's a half-severed dude in front of him. And he was like, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah.
Grabs this poor bastard, who I hope is actually dead.
By his shirt.
Picks him up by his shirt and uses him like a Captain America shield and runs into the war with his freaking machine gun and like blowing people away while he's using this dude as a shield to take bullets. And I watched this movie and I'm like, okay, half of my brain is saying, wow, that's really dark and crazy and terrible. And the other half of my brain is going, this is freaking amazing.
Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff where I'm thinking, okay, this is a true story, but I think that's bullshit.
I think that's garnished a little bit.
But maybe it was.
I don't know.
It's like I can see him doing the interview after the war. It's like, yeah, man, then this one crazy dude picked up this dude's torso and used it as a shield. It was the weirdest thing.
It was fucking, I saw him running across the battlefield and I was like, holy shit.
And then he threw it and it spun and it bounced off a tank and a bunker and hit 3 dudes and it came back to him and he caught it again. And then he used it as a shield. It was,
and we called him Cap. It was oddly comedic to me. I was watching that movie or that part of the movie and I was like, oh my God, are they really doing this? This is so nuts. And then everything went really dark after that. And it was just like people were getting blown up. I know you guys, I know Kadish isn't like a gross out person, like he hates that kind of stuff, but there was a lot of moments where I was like, holy shit, like people getting burnt to death and shit like that. Like they went real dark for a while.
Do you ever think about, you watch these like footage of actual battles of war from World War II, and those flamethrowers were real.
Oh yeah.
And I can't think of a worse way to die.
Yeah.
I would rather drown, and drowning would suck.
Drowning sucks.
You know, getting burned alive by a flamethrower would just be horrendous.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine even watching somebody like that. You know, it was just, war is crazy, man. And just, I don't know what else to say. It's just be the worst.
Like you've seen a lot of war movies, I'm assuming, like Saving Private Ryan and whatnot like that. Where does this last like 45 to 50 minutes of this movie hold up to you?
I think Saving Private Ryan is number 1 there as far as like, as the intensity,
that opening D-Day
and the
scene.
realism.
Yeah.
This, I feel like they tried to capture that, but I don't know if it worked completely for me, because they almost went too gory with a lot of this stuff. You know,
They didn't hold back.
they did not hold back.
Well, one of the interesting things about Mel Gibson as a director is that he doesn't shy away from like showing you like horrors. Like,
No.
like in Apocalypto and Braveheart, like there's a lot of like very like bloody, gory stuff in there. And I think that one of the masterful things that he does is he's able to juxtapose that with like the good stuff. So like, because it's so horrible and grody and violent and stuff like that, you're able to appreciate the humanity and the good stuff when you see it. So like he utilizes that stuff in a very effective manner, I think.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably up there as far as war movies goes for me with the battle scenes. I think it was one of the more well done scenes, because a lot of the issues with a lot of war movies that I watch is like it's all freaking, every time there's an explosion the camera just shakes wildly and you can't really see what's going on. Like this movie does that from time to time, but for the most part you understand the landscape, you understand where people are. It's very easy to read as a consumer, like, okay, I know what's going to happen next, I know where they're going. Like it was consumable. A lot of the times with war movies, people go overboard and they're just like, everything's freaking blowing up and there's dirt and blood and this and that, and you can't see anything, and it kind of just gets lost in the noise. So I appreciated that this movie took the time to show specific scenes with characters that you knew and you kind of understood what was happening.
But you know, and we had buy-in on all the characters too.
Yeah.
You know, they gave us enough.
That guy
story. You Ghoul. It's like, that dude looked like words.
He did.
Okay, he looked like words.
He did.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm 22, sir. Like, the fuck you are.
You look like you're 40. Yeah. But no, I get it. You know, when the people died that you were kind of like attached to, you're like, you felt it a little bit. And you know, and when he saved them, you felt that too. Yeah. And then it's a good movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that scene where he finds the guy who's blind and washes his eyes and restores his sight.
That felt very Jesus to me.
And well, I mean, that was
a true story though.
Yeah. Like that was actually one of the things that he recounted in the documentary. And you know, stuff like just little things like that. You're just like, oh man, like that's those little moments of humanity where like he like tries to like help someone, and it, because of the horrors that you just saw in the battle scenes, they ring so much more poignant when you're watching them.
Let's see, Sam. What's the actor's name? Sam something.
Sam Witwer.
Witwer.
Is that what it was?
No, it's not Sam
Wentworth. Thank you, Jude. Get the meat out of your mouth, Jude.
Cured meats is my kryptonite. I can't stop eating them once I start.
Okay.
Clash of the Titans, though.
Sam Wentworth, whatever the hell is it? Avatar guy.
Oh, it is Avatar guy. I genuinely
really like this actor. I think he's good in just about everything he's in. I really like Terminator Salvation. Like it's a bit of a goofy movie, but I still enjoy the heck out of that movie. It's better than some of the other freaking sequels they came out with. And like every time I see him, I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. I don't understand.
It's got like a casualness to him.
Yeah, right? I don't understand why he didn't get as big as they were. Like they were pushing him hard, like Avatar, this movie, freaking all this stuff. He's in a lot of Clash of the Titans. He's in a lot of movies, but like something happened where like his career just got stunted. Yeah, and I never understood why, because I like when he shows up in movies. I think he's a cool dude.
Sam Worthington.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
So anyway, I like that he was in this movie. I almost forgot that he was in this movie, and then I just saw him. I was like, oh yeah, he was in here.
I think that's one of the reasons why his career has stunted, is because like he's so forgettable. Like even when he's the lead in a movie, you're just like, oh, I forgot he was in that.
Every time I see him in something, I'm like, is that the dude from Fast and Furious 2?
No.
No, I know it's not. The answer is no, but it's every single time I see him, I'm like, is that that guy? Is that that hillbilly?
Yeah, when we were watching this, Jude was like, do I know that guy from somewhere? I'm like, Avatar. It's like the most,
watched movie ever,
highest grossing movie ever. And she's like, no, that's not it.
Is Avatar
she was like, oh, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Clash of the Titans too.
Is Avatar still the highest?
No, I think somebody beat it out.
If it is, we need to knock that off.
One of the Marvel movies or something knocked it out.
That movie's so overrated.
It's probably The Last Jedi.
Just want to clarify, I also hated Clash of the Titans, the remake.
How dare you? That movie's a classic.
The remake?
Punch the shit out of your tape right now.
Whoa. Okay.
So I want to talk about my favorite scene in this movie.
Go ahead.
So there's a scene, and it's right after like the initial battle scene where basically they get routed, And Desmond Doss has seen all of his friends die, and he risks his life to save the soldier who ends up dying like right as he gets to the ridge. And there's like all this fire and artillery bombardment and all this other stuff. And he's at that ridge and he's having this crisis of faith where he's like, please God, why am I here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? And then like from like the smoke and the fire and the flame of the hell of the battlescape, he hears men calling out for help. And at that moment he stands up and he realizes that's why he's here. And he runs into the chaos. And that moment in this movie is something that just hit me so hard because that's a true hero moment. I think Mel Gibson himself said that he wanted to make a movie about an actual superhero as opposed to like a spandex superhero. And that scene in this movie just nailed that for me. It's the most poignant and powerful scene I think I've seen in a movie in a very long time.
I don't mean to make light of that, but what that reminded me of was the scene in Independence Day where where they're driving into DC and everyone's fleeing. And Jeff Goldblum was like, we're the only ones trying to get back into DC and life just has a way and blah, blah. And it reminded me of that.
So true.
Freaking Jude.
God dang it, Jude.
This is a guy movie, Jude. You got to treat it with respect.
Independence Day.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Welcome to Earth.
Those goddamn Japs. They're aliens.
Jeff Goldblum is a very sexy man.
He is very sexy. You get to see his ass cheek in Death Wish.
Oh my God.
Old movie Death Wish.
Really?
Yep.
To see more
You remember
than The Fly.
You remember the timestamp when we get to see Jeff Goldblum?
It's like 25 minutes in.
But
Weirdo. Thank you guys for just totally undercutting.
I'm so sorry. No, I do.
I heard you. I watched this movie with you, and you didn't even know any of this shit.
You know what's funny is I did weep, like not like woo,
weep,
but like
Weep?
I had like weep. Isn't weep like when you have like one tear come down, right?
No.
That's not weeping.
No, weep is the.
Oh no, I didn't do that. What's weep?
That's what I did at Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He weeped at Top Gun Maverick.
Hardcore. Did.
Are you serious?
No,
He did. It
tears.
was so special.
I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was something was wrong.
Fucking Kadish was just having convulsions, like dry face convulsions.
I didn't cry at Top Gun Maverick.
Oh
I'm
man,
sitting between these two, like, are you guys okay?
This reminds me of that freaking classic scene from Sleepless in Seattle when they're talking about the war movie and the two dudes start freaking out.
Dude,
anyway,
there's something about war movies that just
get
gets
to
guys
us, dude.
Right
He's
in the
like,
heart.
when he threw the grenade back, and he's like, "Leave without me, John." Yeah, no, totally. I don't remember what the moment was. I think it had to have been towards the end of the movie. I think it was when everybody was done and they were like climbing off and they were bringing him down in the stretcher after he got his leg blown up by the grenade. And I was like, "Oh my god, it got me, dude! It did."
Well, that's what it's supposed to do.
Well, even before they went back up the ridge to take it, like they were all waiting for him to stop praying. And like the commander's on the horn, and he's like,
Get
"You
the
guys
fuck
were
up
supposed
there."
to get
Yeah.
up there like 20 minutes ago," and they're like, "Nope, he's
Nope.
not. Desmond Doss ain't done praying."
Yeah, I love that. I love that moment too. That was great. Okay, so for my final thoughts, I enjoy the hell out of this movie's first watch. It was amazing. It deserves all the praise in the world. I love the message behind it specifically. I think it was just a great hero story and a great faith story, and I appreciate the heck out of that. One last thing I want to say. Did any of you guys catch the Mel Gibson cameo in this movie?
I did
No.
not.
I did right at the beginning.
There's one at
Who
the
was it?
yeah, one at the very, very beginning when the camera's looking up from the point of view of Desmond. Desmond?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's looking up and they're like, "We're going to
Is
get
it Jesus?
well, kind of. He's like, "We're going to get you out of here, son." It's Mel Gibson who says that.
And Mel Gibson's son is actually in this movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he plays the soldier Lucky, I think.
And there's another Mel Gibson cameo, which I don't think you really get to see his face. But when Desmond does get his leg blown up by the grenade and they put him on the stretcher, Mel Gibson is the guy on his head to the right-hand side. He's the one carrying the stretcher. And you can tell, like, there's a moment where you get to see his face, and also just because I've watched so many Mel Gibson movies, I recognized his freaking arm. Like, I can tell, like, oh, that's Mel Gibson's hand. Like, I know what it looks like. So
Also, speaking of stretchers, the scene where Desmond saves Vince Vaughn's character, where he puts him on this makeshift stretcher, and Vince Vaughn is literally like shooting Japanese soldiers as he's being rescued.
Yeah, that was awesome.
that was dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kind of funny.
And it was the first time in the movie that he picked up a gun.
This is true.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that so the real Desmond Doss, the way that he got injured, so he did take shrapnel to the leg. That part is true. And while they were evacuating him, they were getting like kind of like pinned down by like enemy fire, and there was another soldier who was like who had been shot, and Desmond rolled off the stretcher and he said, "Get this guy to safety, come back for me." And so he was in a foxhole while this other guy got to safety. And while he was in that foxhole, a sniper shot him in the arm.
Whoa.
And so he was like triaging himself. And basically the group came back and got him off to safety. But like even when he was like being evacuated, he was willing to sacrifice himself to save someone else.
Awesome. All right, V, final thoughts, give it a rating.
Thoroughly enjoyable movie. I had a great time watching it. I don't know how to rate it. It's because I did have a good time with it. It's a heavy movie, but it's also a
put
fun
it in
movie.
the war movie genre. Saving Private Ryan. Shit like that.
It's up there. I'm not going to give it 5 stars. I don't know if I don't think it's really a 3-star movie, but I'll go 3.5.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
3.5 stars.
So rules are made up.
Yeah, I guess they are. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, this was my first watch, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked watching this. I watched it from beginning to end. I didn't get up.
Okay.
And you know me.
Oh, yeah.
If
you check your phone, you're out.
I'm out. And it's like, and I didn't really do that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good movie. Definitely worth watching. And check it out if you haven't. 3.5 stars for me. So
cool. Jude, how about you?
Okay, so war movies is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put it in the realm of just Mel Gibson movies. So we've seen other Mel Gibson movies. For me, like I didn't remember that I'd seen it before, so it was a bit forgettable for me. Upon rewatching, I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I have seen this movie before." And I don't know if that's down to marketing or just down to like it not being the kind of movie that I'm like gaga for. Mm-hmm. That being said, like watching it for the podcast, I was like, wow, this is actually a really good movie. I don't know that I ever need to watch it again. It's not the kind of thing that inspires rewatchability in me. Mm-hmm. But like just as a Mel Gibson movie, Mel Gibson directed movie, and just as a movie, it's really good. I think it's definitely worth a watch. Mm-hmm. Is it something that I'm going to be like, you know what we should do tonight? Watch Hacksaw Ridge? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
No. I never need to watch it again, but not in a way that I'm like, I'm never going to watch this fucking thing again. It's just, I don't need it. I've seen it. I get it. And I value it. So for me, it's kind of middle of the road, maybe slightly above. I'm going to give it 3 snipers out of 5.
Okay. Kadish?
So Mel Gibson doesn't make lighthearted movies, and he doesn't make movies that are less than 2 hours long. Nope. I warned Jude this week that all these movies were very heavy.
I went through a lot of wine this week, you guys.
Yeah.
Does the podcast need to comp you for your wine consumption?
Maybe.
and like this was a week where like I kept not wanting to watch the movies because I was just like, I know what I'm in store for. These movies are really good, but they're all really heavy, and it's just like it weighed on me. But you know, staying true to form, like when we did watch them, I was very much enjoying what I was watching when I was watching it. This movie, again, very heavy movie, but great acting, great story, great script. The battle scenes are extremely well directed. The themes to this story are really good. The fact that it's a true story, it makes me want to track down the documentary, The Contentious Objector, and watch that and see like just get the real story from the people who were there and who lived this. But Mel Gibson is a really fucking good director, and I haven't seen a movie that he's directed that I haven't liked. And this movie, I had forgotten how emotionally poignant and powerful it could be. And I had feels when I was watching it. And to me, that's what makes a good war movie. It's not necessarily anti-war, but it's almost like pro-kindness, pro-humanity.
Yeah.
Because like the main character is someone who doesn't want to kill things. He wants to fix things. He wants to bring a little bit of light back into the world in a dark time. And I think that type of message is something that we really need and that we're sorely missing in the current crop of Hollywood films. And so I'm going to give this a solid 4 conscientious objections out of 5.
Right.
Nice. And nice pronunciation too. I can't
you.
do it. Yeah, I agree. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. I thoroughly enjoy it. I do agree with Jude though. It's not a movie that I'm going to be like, oh, I need to go watch Hacksaw
No.
Ridge. Like this is a movie that I can watch and I can truly appreciate. It's not rewatchable.
It's not a movie night movie.
Yeah, it's not a movie night movie.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's a heavy movie.
Like if I'm going through like, there's every once in a while I go through these waves of like, man, I'm feeling nostalgic for like a good war movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be on my list.
Maybe the next time I'm going through a breakup.
Okay, I mean that's what you're into. But yeah, it was a great movie. I had a great time with it, and I think Mel Gibson is a fantastic director. If this is what he's offering us as a consumer, like this is amazing. So good job on that. All right, guys, that's it for Hacksaw Ridge. Thanks for joining us on this YouTube video. If you're brand new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. We do a brand new theme every single week. This week's theme is Mel Gibson directed movies. So join us for this week. We're doing Apocalypto and Braveheart coming up pretty soon. So join in, subscribe, comment what's your favorite Mel Gibson movie, whether he directed it or not. Just comment below and let us know. Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me on Matt Vader at Matt Vader 74 on Twitter mostly, and also on Facebook and Instagram. I need to like pay more attention to those, but
You're a Twitter guy.
I'm a Twitter guy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's all
at
good.
Matt Vader 74 on
Cool.
the socials. I'm out there.
All right, Jude.
You'll never find me on Twitter.
She literally deleted her app.
Yeah. If you do, it's just because I've neglected to delete my account. I'm not going to respond. But you can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
All right.
If you find me on Facebook, I'm not going to respond to you. That's just like for high school friends and family members.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
I hate Facebook. So
Okay, go ahead.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. KadishBooks.com takes you to my Amazon page where you can check out my books. And be sure to go to saltylist.com to sign up for our newsletter.
All right, guys, and I run the Salty Nerd Podcast Instagram account. So if you join over there, we have a lot of great stories that we share. We take clips from the TV show and other stuff like that and make reels. So if you want to join me, head over to Instagram, follow us there. And don't forget, we have a brand new YouTube channel called Salty Nerd Highlights, and it's just the best bits of all of our shows. So if you don't have time to watch the entire show, head over to Salty Nerd Highlights and you can get some of the best comedic hits right there. It's ran by one of our good friends and Patreons of our podcast R2 over there at was After the Weekend podcast.
Yes.
They help us out with that too. So head over there, join up. There's only like 30 subscribers, brand new channel. Jump in, get them to a higher level of the subscribers. Some of our subscribers from the YouTube channel can head over there and get some cool content. And
I did
some fun
trivia with
bits.
them not too long ago. It was
Trivia
really
nights.
fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Shout out to R2. He's a great guy.
go follow After the Weekend.
After the Weekend podcast.
Yes.
Follow him. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Stay salty.